Welcome to Sat Chats, the Bitcoin podcast where we chat about sats. Sats are the smallest part of a Bitcoin, the same way pennies are the smallest part of a dollar. So with Sat Chats, we are building the world's biggest Bitcoin welcome center to serve as your gateway to generational wealth. If you are a Bitcoin beginner, we want to chat about sats with you. Head to satchats.com to grab your slot in the studio today. I'm your host, Stuart, Bitcoin Maxi, who wears prescription sunglasses to protect you and your loved ones from my Bitcoin laser eyes.
And I'm your co-host, Chris, founder and CEO of Ithaca Hummus, proud Bitcoin multi-coiner and smash buyer.
There we go. Nice, clean qualification there. That's good. That's good.
Whatever.
And so we want you to smash that like and subscribe the same way Chris Smash buys Bitcoin. Today, we are bringing you Tyler, who has a long time history in the crypto space, has dabbled with some of the technology himself, background in cyber sales, and now a fully published best-selling author. So today we're going to hear Tyler's Bitcoin story, and we're going to answer some of his Bitcoin questions. But before we do, Tyler, help our satillionaires out there, get to know you a little bit.
Yeah, sure. I'm from Columbia, Connecticut. I've played rugby for many years. I had at one point ambitions to play rugby at the highest level. My position is fly half, which is a lot like quarterback, so I'm kind of in charge of the offense. I've also coached a collegiate rugby team, a women's rugby team, to a conference championship. Like you said, I've spent many years in cybersecurity sales, and I've started my own cryptocurrency company. To make all those things a little bit difficult, I suffer from bipolar 1 disorder, which has tested me with 2 suicide attempts and institutionalization, as well as several manic episodes. And I'm the only person you've ever met who's ruptured both of their patellar tendons. So that's when your knee goes into your quad. It happens once for every 147,000 human years. So to do it twice is kind of like discovering life on other planets.
Oh my goodness.
That's painful.
You're saying this kneecap here, this piece of bone, went up and then into your leg muscle here?
Yeah, just like a compound fracture is really horrific because you see the bone come out. It's pretty horrific to just have your whole leg kind of dangling like that.
Oh God, that literally makes, I had 1,200 calories worth of breakfast burritos literally right before this show, and that's making my stomach hurt, dude. That's giving me a very weird feeling in my gut. Oh God.
Yeah.
Good golly. Well, we appreciate your rigorous honesty here with us today, Tyler.
Totally.
And we will dive into your book near the end of the show and your disorder. But for now, we want to hear more about your Bitcoin story. So walk us through what you were going through when you first found Bitcoin, and talk to us about whether it resonated with you immediately, whether there was a problem that it was the solution for you. What was kind of the context around that moment when you first found Bitcoin?
Yeah, sure. I was a few years into working in cybersecurity sales, and I had moved from a large manufacturer to a reseller. So I was selling lots of different products into lots of different companies. And, I was having to ship things to different countries in Europe, in Asia, Africa, South America. And, I would be promising the same price, and then I'd realize, there's a 20% value add tax to get into this country, or a big tariff into this country. And so around that same time, my roommate was studying for his MBA, and he came home and he said, I'm doing this project where I'm acquiring a little Bitcoin and I'm acquiring a little of this thing called Ethereum. And, I'm going to see how it rises or falls over the next, semester. And, that kind of piqued my interest. I looked into it and, kind of the concept of globalizing currency, the concept of digitizing it, the concept of not having a central bank owning it. All of these things fell in line with my core values. Um, and so I said, okay, well, I'm going to buy a little too of both of these things. I hadn't really known too much about Ethereum, but a couple months after that, I met up with an old friend who was a software engineer at a big defense contractor, and he gave me a book about Ethereum. And, when I read that, decentralizing the internet, making it so the individual owns their data, stuff like that, I really fell in line with the core concepts of Ethereum. And so I hung around the industry for a while. Whenever I had spare money, I'd put some of it aside. Um, and then a few years later, I was making a lot of money, by the way. I was making $250,000 by the time I was 26. And, I even had this little USB drive around my neck that had hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of crypto in it. Um, it was kind of like a little flex. And, I ended up quitting that job, and I was really depressed. I spent the next year kind of reading 300 pages of literature per day and studying cryptocurrency. And, eventually I had the goal of, starting my own crypto company, crypto venture. I said, okay, well, let's sit down and start a cryptocurrency company. And I said, okay, what do we know about? Well, we know about rugby. And, the MLR was a brand new Major League Rugby. And what I wanted to do was start a decentrally owned and operated rugby team where, the decisions are group sourced by NFT accredited, rugby people. And, there was kind of a metaverse presence so that, fans could get token rewards for attending games or buying gear. And, hopefuls could put their highlight mix up on the metaverse platform, to be evaluated for, new talent. I went to Ethereum Denver, and I wanted to pitch this to venture capitalists and technologists so that I could, build the platform out. I figured that I needed about $2.5 million to get started. I did find some people that kind of identified with what I was trying to do. I met some people from the World Olympic Committee, the people that kind of choose the rules and stuff for different Olympic events. And they were at the event and they loved it. I pitched it to some venture capitalists. I got a lot of numbers. And so I went back from the crypto conference and I thought I was about to change the world. I was having all these grandiose thoughts. And so, I was trying to unstake some really, not important crypto. I only had like $1,000 stashed away in it. And I accidentally sent the staked version of that cryptocurrency to my wallet when I was supposed to unstake it first. And so I contacted the tokens Discord channel and I said, can anyone help me? And someone with, the cryptocurrency's name and then support admin after that contacted me. And they're like, all you have to do is fill this thing out. I need your secret phrase. I said, what are you, crazy? It's my secret phrase. I'm not dumb. And he was like, trust me, I've been working here for 3-4 years. I wouldn't gamble away my job just for your crypto wallet. And I was like, all right, fair enough. So I sent it to him. He liquidated me $450,000 in a matter of minutes. And, mind you, I also had a huge NFT collection of Ethereum name service domains, some pretty valuable ones. And, I sent what I could to a different wallet. The next day I sold lgbt.eth for $1,000. And then a day after that, it sold for $28,000. And I was crushed and I was still manic. And I went to go coach the women's rugby team the next day. And, long story short, I ended up losing my job because of it. That sent me down into a pretty dark hole. And I kind of stayed away from crypto for a while, but, I've been back in, the last couple of years and I've gotten a lot smarter about it. I don't know if I'll ever start that company again or anything like that. But, I've definitely learned a lot from the whole experience.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
So since you had some crypto in your wallet that you needed to fix, and this fellow convinced you to give him your secret phrase, he was then able to go into the wallet and empty all the different coins that were in there, just like that.
Yeah, well, I was staking some other stuff, so it took a little time, and I was able to protect some of it. But once he liquidated my gas, I was on the Ethereum network, so I was spending gas. Once he did that, there was really nothing I could do, and I just had to watch him.
Wow. Just had to watch him siphon 450 grand away from you.
Life savings.
Dude, that is insane.
Tyler, I mean, I really feel for you, and I'm sure anyone listening to this, I mean, I don't know that we can relate, but we can imagine what that must feel like. This is the show for Bitcoin beginners. So what advice would you give to anyone listening right now based on your experience?
The number one thing is you could be right about something, but if your timing is off, it's just as good as being wrong, right? So you never go all in. You always stay prudent with your investment, what you think can stay there for the long time. And even when you see like the big pop, just know that it's probably going to come back down. So take your profits where you can, and be smart about it, right? It's easy to look at it like a casino game, but it's your real money, and it can really make an impact on your life, especially if you play it right. It could transform your life.
On this show, we try to differentiate Bitcoin from crypto. And and you're shaking your head. Yes. Do you also kind of differentiate the two?
Yeah, definitely.
How do you separate them for beginners?
I look at Bitcoin like gold, and I look at Ethereum and other tokens that have like a tangible use case as oil, right? Gold and oil. One is used as, monetary funds, and the other is used to do something, right? Because Ethereum really just powers the internet, or Web3 rather. And that's completely different than Bitcoin.
Wow. That is incredible, by the way. Bitcoin is gold and Ethereum is oil.
Right.
Wow. Okay. So when we talk about it, I usually break crypto down into three categories. And the first is what I'll now call oil. It is cryptocurrencies that are powering something, right? Maybe it's like an application that is powered by tokens. There's a second group that's just like fully degenerate meme coin land. And, you're just buying Trump fart coin. It's like, what could this literally be doing? And then the last is just like rug pull mode, where it's a pump and dump. They know it's nothing. They're just going to try to get your money from you. So do you feel those three different categories are accurate, or do you feel like there's less to it or more to it?
I think there's more to it. I think, you see some of the meme coins that have an actual use behind them. One of them that I really like is Degen, which powers basically the decentralized Twitter. It's called Warpcast. And, it's really cool. If you post something, worthwhile, people will tip you in whatever meme coin they invented or whatever. So I've got like 60 some odd meme coins just piled up, and some of them are worth something and some of them are not. I do think there's a lot of trash out there that, a novice crypto person might see a big pump and want to get in. And, the best thing I can tell them is, before you get into something, just study it, read its white paper, learn about it, And, you know, you can always put more into it later, right? You don't have to just pile it all in at once.
So now that you've taken time to recover from that huge loss, that huge theft, I mean, that makes number 11 Aisha look fairly tame, quite frankly, in terms of how much you lost. And you took a break from the world of crypto. Now you're kind of moving back into that space a little bit, maybe rediscovering it. Did you stack sats that whole time? Did you get only a little Bitcoin in the beginning before focusing fully on crypto? Are you stacking sats now? Do you view that as your store of value, and you put your savings in Bitcoin while you look for investments or ROI in the crypto space? Like, what's your approach these days, and what are those strategies that you take?
Yeah. I was working at a big cybersecurity company all of 2023 and half of 2024. So I was able to save up some good money, and anything I had free, I would stash away in crypto. I really like the coins that have APY, so you stake them and you might get 6 or 8% annual performance yield. And so then you're making money off of your money, which is a good feeling. I rarely go for the small cap stuff unless I really find value in its use case, like I did with DGen. And I mostly stick to what I consider the big three: Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. I don't want to spend a million hours working on what the next NFT is. Although back when I was really into it, I was making my own NFTs. And I wasn't selling them very well, but it was fun to make digital art. And so now, crypto serves a very passive role in my life. But I do think at some point it'll probably, if I ever get the money and I ever get the time to try and build something again, I think it would be a great experience because I've certainly learned from my mistakes.
And what's your strategy for Bitcoin? Do you buy a little bit each week? Do you buy a little bit each month? Do you wait and buy the dip? Are you kind of trading it, buying it low, selling it high? You holding it long term?
Yeah, now I'm just holding, but when I had a steady income, it was buy a little every couple of weeks, buy a little more when it takes a dip, sell a little off when it takes a pump, and just try and be, mechanical about it, as opposed to just letting your passion override your ability to discern risk.
And are you like 33, 33, 33? What's your split across those three you mentioned?
Yeah, it's probably like 35, 25, 25. That doesn't work out, but Ethereum is probably like 5 to 10% more than the other two.
Okay, I got you. So that is super interesting, Tyler. We are a show for beginners and we do focus on Bitcoin, but you really can't stop the crypto conversation from happening as part of Bitcoin because, to your point, there are some cryptocurrencies that are tied to real world applications, just like software as a service or something else out there that has an application. And there's no denying that at some point it might be commonplace for us to power the technology we use with tokens that are native to that technology. But there is a lot of trash out there, like you said, and you have to kind of take time to help people avoid all that stuff. And so I really appreciate your nuanced perspective on Bitcoin and crypto. I think it's interesting that you know a lot about crypto and categorize it as oil, but you also take time to separate Bitcoin out as its own almost like monetary phenomenon, right? Which I think is really, really interesting. It's really powerful. So you had some questions for us today, and the first one was about this idea of whether the United States was going to adopt a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Is that right?
Yeah.
So walk us through why you're chewing on this question.
Well, I think it's something that needs to happen, right? We can't just depend wholly on the dollar, right? If the dollar gets devalued or undervalued or overvalued, then, we lose our money. And, when it comes to working with other countries, it makes a lot more sense to transact in the same currency. It makes a lot of sense that when there's a limited supply of something that's in demand, that no matter who you are, you should get your hands on it. Because if it runs out and you don't have any, then you're kind of, down the stream without a paddle. And, it would make me uncomfortable to think that, the United States is too good for, a globalized currency. And, people like to really talk down on the word globalization. But, if you look at the history of economics, the reason why the stocks always go up is because we get more efficient working on a global scale. And so if you slap all these tariffs around and you slap all these taxes around for imports and exports, then you're hurting everybody, right? And so, removing friction from global trade becomes one of the most important things that you can do.
I really agree with that. And to go back to what you said near the beginning of the show, Bitcoin is a global currency. And it's kind of crazy to think about the fact that we have technology that allows us to send a text message anywhere in the world. A technology to send an email or place a phone call, frankly. But our shipping lanes are global. A ship can go from Europe across the Atlantic, through the Panama Canal, across the Pacific. These economies of ours are quite arbitrarily broken up into nation states, aren't they? And humanity placing wage and price controls in response to the arbitrary crossing of a nation state border creates all these problems for us because we live on a single planet, but we're trying to break it up into 219 separate nation states if it comes to finances or trade. Like, we're not, the internet is global, our commerce is global, but we're all still using money that isn't.
I think it's globalization that in recent years has been enabled by everything going digital, right? But over time, another one of our guests referred to the trolls on the bridge, like nation states, whatever the central authority is, have, built this net almost as if they're capturing value, taking some out, and then letting it pass after that. And that's not going to die easily.
So it sounds like for you, adopting a strategic Bitcoin reserve is a good move for the United States.
Oh, yeah. I think it's a no-brainer.
But you're wondering whether or not we're actually going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, man, I sure hope we do. We already hold the most coins of any nation state simply from past seizure, from, criminals or theft, whatever you want to. Yeah, exactly. So we're already the largest hodler of Bitcoin. Like, can we please just, first of all, say that we're going to hang on to that? And let's go ahead and make that our initial Bitcoin smash buy. We're just going to keep what we have. There are talks that we might buy 1 million Bitcoin Bitcoins over the next 5 years, right? Which would be incredible, by the way. And Michael Saylor is out there, making his rounds. He's talking about it at the CPAC. He's framing it up as manifest destiny. Hey, America has always pushed west. Now the new frontier is digital. We need the Louisiana purchase of Bitcoin. We need the California and Texas or Alaska of Bitcoin. So you better believe he's out there framing this up in ways that, the current politicians in power can resonate with, right? It's also clear that the individuals that, the current nation state president has put into place for these things, they're all Bitcoiners. Like, they're on the record saying, we have Bitcoin. We have a lot of Bitcoin. So I think we were all pretty pumped last year that we might get a strategic Bitcoin reserve. And as a Bitcoin maxi, I just want Bitcoin. But based on some of the language recently, it seems like, and especially I think Ripple, was lobbying quite a bit to kind of leave room for America to add other crypto or to add cryptocurrencies to that strategic reserve, right? So now it's more like it's gone from a strategic Bitcoin reserve to like a strategic digital reserve. So, we'll see. I think for sure America is going to put some Bitcoin onto their balance sheet. I just hope it's a whole bunch. And if they're going to allow cryptocurrencies in there as well, I really hope it's the oil of cryptocurrencies that get in there and not, I would hate for someone to pump and dump America. That's all. You know what I mean? Like,
that would be
can you imagine if we as a nation state got rug pulled? That would be rough.
Do you think we'd ever use the Bitcoin globally, like to transact with, I don't know, Ukraine or something? Because that would be the real seminal moment, I think, when we actually use it.
I do think that is inevitable. I personally believe that Bitcoin has already won. We just don't know it yet. And the future is unevenly distributed. And so over time, people will come to realize that the moment it was created or discovered, Bitcoin won in terms of being the best money there is, right? So, I'm not talking about Bitcoin being better than cryptocurrencies. I'm talking about Bitcoin being better than gold, being better than dollars, being better than glass beads or yap stones, whatever, right? Like, it's the best money. So, as soon as the United States froze the Russian assets after they, I believe invaded Ukraine. I don't know or I think people are using the term aggression. I don't know if they're tiptoeing around that, but Russia is like, well, shoot, we got locked out of the SWIFT payment system. We need to explore alternatives so that we can operate and trade with China, India, Brazil. And you have Vladimir Putin on record saying, hey, you can't stop Bitcoin. And maybe we need to explore Bitcoin as the alternative payment system since we got locked out of SWIFT. So I think that you're going to see various nation states decide to use Bitcoin in and among each other. And eventually every country is going to need to jump on there, America including. And what I think is going to happen, Tyler, is you're going to have a really nice go of things, because there was a time when the world was effectively on a gold standard. And to your point, if someone in another country is buying your product and you're shipping it to them, you're using the same money. There's no, because dude, my cyber sales company was based in Canada, and I'd close a deal here in America and either do better or worse against my quota, depending on when the deal was closed and the difference between the US dollar and the Canadian dollar. So, you're all these silly fluctuations and the different tariffs and taxes and stuff. If everybody's just using the same money, it gets a whole lot easier. So your next question was about Satoshi. You wanted to know, who is Satoshi?
Yeah.
So who do you think Satoshi is, Tyler?
I have no idea, honestly. I like to think, like, when people talk about like the lore of Vitalik Buterin and his father, that's a funny one. I always loved the documentary where they go and visit that guy named Satoshi in California, and he's like this great software engineer, but he has no idea what they're talking about. But really, honestly, I don't think anybody knows, right? It could be a nation state, it could be, some hacker, it could be anything really. Um, you know, it could be the people that run the simulation that we live in. Who knows? You know, I really have no idea.
Yeah, it could be Mr. Smith, dude. Full of the Matrix. You know what I mean? Agent Smith.
Tyler, how does it make you feel as a Bitcoiner to not know?
I think that that's the way it has to be, and I think that whoever it is, he knew it, because he probably would have spent his life in jail for money laundering or something like that. And so I think he was protecting a nascent network that he created, something that was his baby, and he wanted to do anything in his power to prevent it from being stopped. And I think that's a really noble thing to do.
I like that answer. My cousin believes it's Lynn Sassaman.
I don't know him.
Who was Lynn was a technology forward fellow who studied in some places where you can kind of stack up the coincidences and say, you know what, maybe it's Lynn, because there's there's like Satoshi has a blend of US and UK English in his communications, and Lynn did as well. Also, Lynn had some mental health issues, and I believe he eventually killed himself. So it, makes sense in terms of Satoshi never spending any of his own money, right? The newest and hottest tea on the block, Tyler, that was sent to me by number 13 Brock before Chris here sent it to me, was this idea that Jack Dorsey is Satoshi Nakamoto. And there's a big fat post on Twitter connecting all the coincidences and the fact that the Genesis block is, on Jack's birthday, and then like the last block Satoshi mined is on Jack's mom's birthday. I mean, there's all this fun quasi-conspiratorial coincidences going on, and it was a fun read. And some people are saying, hey, you know what? If Jack is Satoshi, he should tell us, because we are Wall Street, we are corporations, we are nation states, and we might have more confidence in Bitcoin if we knew who the creator was. But I'm with you, Tyler. I feel like Satoshi is pseudonymous for a reason, and Bitcoin has far surpassed his ability to do anything about the rules governing Bitcoin. So it's immaterial. It's no longer important.
Yeah.
But it's a fun curiosity. So let's hear about your book, Tyler, before we wrap things up.
Sure. I told you guys a little bit about it already. It's called The Maniac with No Knees. It's kind of my journey through, trying to find distractions from the problems in my mind. Whether that's adventuring in the West and almost dying in the Grand Canyon, getting in the middle of a domestic violence dispute when I was living on a farm in Connecticut, having my car stolen by the Boston Mafia, getting fired from the Eastern Connecticut State Rugby team, and eventually a couple suicide attempts, couple hospitalizations, institutionalization, where I was finally diagnosed and finally treated for bipolar 1 disorder. And it's about, the impact that all the people I met in the mental health hospital had on me, and the blessings that I have that they reminded me of, people with schizophrenia or aphasia, and, me realizing that I come from this white, educated, wealthy, nuclear family. I was blessed with athleticism and wit and good looks. And, I kind of realized that none of these people were capable of telling their story. And that's why this thing is so stigmatized. So, I decided to take it upon myself and, write this book on behalf of all the people that are suffering, try and give them something to treat as a companion, and also something to, educate the general public, because there's a long way, that we need to go as a society when it comes to treating the mentally ill, right? Like, if you work in corporate America and you have a mental illness, they're happy to help you, but only if you have, a slight anxiety problem. Because if you actually have a real mental illness, they don't want you. You're the first person that gets shot coming through the door. And that's too bad, because, for all of our, issues, we kind of have superpowers too. The mentally ill are more curious, they have more empathy, they're more creative. When you're manic, you have more energy, you stop caring what other people think. And, it's about time that the world needs to know about all these superpowers, because we all are special people.
That's really interesting to hear your life story and to treat that narrative there of mental illness. So, two things: where can our Satillionaires go to buy your book and read it?
Yeah, go on Amazon, search "The Maniac with No Knees" by Tyler Kenya. And yeah, I think anyone that can pick it up will find that it's a really interesting read. There's a lot of cool adventures. There's a lot of resilience, and I think everybody struggles with something. And this book is about finding yourself through all of that and realizing that your authentic self is nothing to be ashamed of.
Wow, I love that. I love that. It's such a noble thing that you're doing, first of all, and I can just so connect with the idea that some of my biggest weaknesses, quote unquote, are also some of my biggest strengths if I can harness them in the right way.
And it takes a lot to be rigorously honest in public, right? And to be who you are in every single situation, and to push into areas that are sensitive or could potentially endanger your employability in order to help others and get that message out. So where can our Satillionaires go to get help with bipolar 1 disorder, or what can they do if they suspect they might be suffering from?
Yeah, there's three things that I think worked for me that can work for other people. And mind you, I'm not through this. I still struggle with it every day. But I'm stable and I'm treating it very well right now. The first thing that I found that was useful was community. Everybody needs a community, whether that's your family, your friends, your rugby team, your workplace. You need somewhere where you trust people and people respect you. The second thing is you need a goal to wake up to every morning. You need something that can push you forward and something that makes you want to improve, and something that has an end in sight that you can look forward to. And the third thing is you need treatment, you need medication. This can be really difficult when you have a psychiatric illness. It's not as cut and dry as we're just going to give you this medicine. We're going to try this medicine for a couple of weeks, couple of months. We're going to see how it goes. If not, we're going to try something new. I cycled through 14 different medications, and some of them gave me some really horrific and traumatizing side effects. But eventually I found a medication that works for me, and one that doesn't have many side effects. And, thankfully I'm alive because of that medication. So anybody that suffers with a mental illness, you just need to swallow that pill. You need to talk to a therapist, because a therapist is like a mirror for your thoughts, right? And we could all use that. And we could all use, some help, because you realize pretty quickly that you can't be an expert at everything. And, you need to go to those experts if you really want to get help. And, that's about it.
So thank you for sharing that, Tyler. And we hope that your message reaches those people who need to hear it. We're going to dive into your flavor of Ithaca hummus. You chose everything bagel. we spoke to Renee, who is also in Connecticut, and I'm going to test my memory right now. There is, oh God, what was the name of the store where you could get it in Connecticut?
Stop and Shop.
Stop and Shop? Okay.
Yeah, that's where my mom goes.
Stop and Shop?
Yeah.
So right here you've got the Ithaca hummus here, everything bagel. This is a fire flavor right here. This is probably my favorite flavor is classic Ithaca hummus. I'm a classic Ithaca man, but and maybe jalapeno lime is number 2. But this everything bagel is pretty sweet. So I'm gonna grab a fat glob here and we're gonna try it out.
You get the roasted garlic, little poppy seed, sesame.
Yeah, it tastes like a bagel. It tastes like an everything bagel with some cream cheese on it.
Totally.
A little bit to me.
Totally. So good.
And I don't have what it tastes to describe what I'm tasting, but that makes me want to eat an everything bagel.
Oh, you can do that, or you can just eat this.
Just jump into the Mythica
Lunch.
So that is very tasty, and we hope that you will grab some yourself, or maybe say, "Hey, Mom, next time you're at the Stop and Shop, grab me some everything bagel hummus."
Ithaca hummus.
Yeah, you got to have the Ithaca hummus. Can't do any of the round tub nonsense. Can't do any of the store brand nonsense.
There's other brands that have this flavor. Just don't even bother.
Don't do it.
Don't even bother. You're going to be disappointed.
Let's make you your offer, Tyler. We really appreciate you being on the show here, and we hope everybody goes and gets your book, The Maniac with No Knees, on Amazon.com today. Let's make you your offer here.
All right, Tyler. So we believe in value for value here, and we really appreciate your time coming and speaking with us and sharing your experience with our audience. So as a small token of our appreciation, we want to offer you a choice between $50 that I guess we can like mail to you or something. I don't know. Is there going to be a VAT tax if we try to send this? Venmo is going to charge us something for sure, postage. The cheapest we could get this to you is, what's the cost of a stamp?
Yeah, 49 cents,
okay.
something like that.
49 cents is, we'll just deduct it. But, or
transaction fee, 1 stamp.
Yeah. I mean, or $50 worth of sats, which I've got the Clark Moody dashboard behind me. I'm not sure if you can see it or not, but the price of a Bitcoin right now,
let's see,
is $86,900.
That's crazy.
Time to buy the dip right now.
That's like a drop of $10,000 from yesterday.
Oh my
That's
God.
Insane.
I'm as soon as we're off this, I'm buying. Which translates to 1,151 sats per dollar. So 1,151 times.
This is going to be the most sats that any guest has gotten. I guarantee it.
By far, it's 57,550 sats.
Wow. Okay.
Or $50 minus the 45 cents or 47 cents of postage.
Take the sats.
Let's go. Come on now.
All right.
Let's go, Tyler. That's my guy, dude. So you are the record holder for most sats awarded at the end of the show.
Congratulations.
I think the previous high was in the 54 or maybe low 55,000. And we're hoping that over the course of this show, people are going to see that the $50 in Bitcoin is becoming less and less and less and less. So they can see that the purchasing power of Bitcoin is going up. There might be a time where $50 in Bitcoin is like 1,000 sats, would be incredible. So we're really excited about that. You're guest number 25, Tyler. So you bring our scoreboard. Let's see here. Let me get out of the way. To 23 guests who have chosen Bitcoin and 2 that took the cash. So thanks for keeping our streak alive here, brother. We appreciate your time. If you've made it this far, give us your value for our value. Hit the like on this video if you enjoyed Tyler's message and this show. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Comment down below if you're experiencing these types of mental health issues as well, along with what works for you, so we can help our Satillionaires out there. Comment if you've read Tyler's book. Let us know what you think about it. If you're on Spotify, give us 5 stars. Do what you can to help everyone chat about sats, because when you do, it directly pumps your Bitcoin bag. So like and subscribe to make your Bitcoin worth more. Let's go. Help us get to 999 plus 1 subscribers so we can unlock that live show Friday morning at 10 a.m. Tyler's going to be in the chat. He's going to be signing books in the chat digitally, amazingly. We're going to figure that out. It's going to be awesome.
Yep.
We're going to be doing quizzes live. We're going to be giving Tyler's book out as prizes for getting the quiz questions right. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
So thanks so much, everybody. Remember, Sat Chats is for educational purposes only and should not be construed as financial advice. Also, our guests' views are their own. Thanks so much, Satillionaires. We'll see you on the next one.